Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about your methodology section. You've already done your literature review and now you are moving on to the methodology section. From the literature review you should have a good understanding of your problem and your purpose, and you should have developed your research questions or hypotheses. Make sure that you have at least 2 but no more than 3. One little tidbit here, I've got this organized as an outline. Please don't submit it as an outline. It should be in an essay form. You can have headings. I prefer headings, but make sure you don't have the numbers beside the headings. So let's move on to our research design under the methodology. You have to include what type of design it is. If you're confused with this, you can send me some information and I can help you decide what kind of design you have. You have to kind of tell me what you're planning to do in your research. But if your research questions talks about the effects of something, then that's probably going to be an experimental study. And in that, you need to make sure you have a randomized design, that you have randomization. They're randomly assigned to experimental and control. If you have a quasi-experimental, it may be like you're looking at, it's something that's already set up. You're going to do an intervention, maybe some type of treatment and control, but the treatment groups and the control groups are already determined. They weren't randomized. You can do survey research where you send out surveys to people to find information. Qualitative case study where you examine just a few individuals undergoing some of your problem or how they react to something. So any of those would be fine. There's multiple others if you look in your textbook. You need to tell me the rationale for your design, why your selected design fits your study. For example, if you chose experimental, you've got to tell me that you randomly selected and randomly assigned participants to treatment and control. If it was qualitative case study, you might want to tell me that you need a rich description of what's going on due to the phenomenon. So the participants is the next section. Describe the population of your study. You don't have to tell me the demographics here because you don't know the demographics. You could be making them up, and that's okay if you want to do that. But you can just say the population you're going to collect from so-and-so school district, and you anticipate it to be 5th through 7th graders or whatever, something like that. Again, you tell me how your sample will be selected. Is it going to be random? Is it going to be purposive? However you're going to select it. Is it going to be stratified random? How will you obtain consent? Will you have to send consent forms home to parents? If they're minors, you will. How will you ensure human protection? Will you maintain confidentiality? Will you submit your proposal to the IRB, the University IRB, to get approval to do this? Will you seek permission from principals or administrators in the whatever you're observing or testing? Then your procedures. I want you to tell me exactly how you're going to do this. Be very specific. Provide enough detail that someone can repeat your study. Is it an intervention study? If so, you got to tell me about your intervention. What I mean by that is, are you changing something? Do you have an independent variable that you're changing? Is it a survey study? If so, how are you going to get the survey to your sample participants? And then you have your data collection. What data will you collect that will allow you to answer your research questions? You got to make sure they match, that the data will answer the research questions. What type of instrumentation will you use? Will you create a survey? Will you find a survey online? Will you use an achievement test such as a state park assessment or whatever we're doing now? How can you ensure reliability and validity of the data you obtain? Are the assessments that you're getting, have they been tested before? Have they been used before? Are there reliability and validity statistics? Were they formed from experts? There's all kinds of ways that you can check this. If you're doing a case study, qualitative, are you going to have someone else help you code the data? All of that ensures reliability and validity. Another way would be if you're scoring something, and maybe it's a subjective test, you have someone that you can do inter-rater reliability to make sure that you're getting the same results. Someone checking you. Then the data analysis. What descriptive statistics will you report? Usually people report mean and standard deviation. Those two go together. You can report mode and frequency. Just depends on what you're testing, what data you're collecting. What inferential analysis will you use? In Chapter 11, it's got a whole list of inferential analysis. I want you to choose one. You do not have to go into detail about or even understand totally how the test works, but I want you to I want you to choose one. Like if you're comparing means, you'll do t-test or ANOVA. If you're comparing relationships, regressions, or correlations, there's tidbits, little things like that. Just read through the text and see if you can find out which one. If you don't know for sure, send me some information and I'll try to help you. If you're using a qualitative study, what type of analysis will you use? On page 434, it talks about it, coding and gathering things and determining things. And then finally, what are the limitations? What limits the external validity or generalizability of your study? What keeps you from being able to generalize this to other populations? Did you use randomization? If you didn't, that's a limitation. Did you have a very small sample size? Were you only in one demographic area, or geographic area? All of these things limit your study. I hope this helps, and I hope I didn't speak too fast. If you have questions on this, please let me know. Generally, just follow the rubric. It's not that difficult. Probably the most difficult part will be deciding the data analysis, but if you look, the data analysis is only worth 10 points, 5 descriptive and 5 inferential. I'm pretty sure you can get the descriptive, and if you make an attempt, you'll get most of the points for the inferential, but I do want you to think about it. Thank you for your time.